Ouchies Batrep, this time with less caffeine. You know, after the last game, I was willing to play anything, and in fact, I had something lined up. But then I got convinced to do a mini campaign, so Battletech it is! Well, within the clan homeworlds, the Jade Falcon is being dispatched to restore power to an HPG transmitter that has gone offline amid a series of riots, and holding up the HPG transmitter and sending what is presumed to be static is a Hell's Horses detachment. The objective of Clan Jade Falcon is to take the transmitter back, so we are rushing onto the board while Hell's Horses holds the board with its infantry detachments and something that came up on the radar and has been suspected to be in the area, but we don't know. It's some sort of small mech. But we're not going to let that stop us. We're moving forward as fast as we can. We've got a mixed company of infantry and mechs for Clan Jade Falcon, and we've got a similar company from Hell's Horses, though it has quite a bit more infantry on its own, between the jump infantry and quite a few more stands of elementals, or at least their infantry is well trained. The Jade Falcon infantry are flat 4/5s. My strategy as Clan Jade Falcon is to keep the heavy units on the northern end of the board. We're going to use a pincer maneuver to move through the woods and hopefully clear out the HPG transmitter while we let the Koshi and the infantry move around on the southern end and generally skirmish. Instantly, the Hell's Horses respond in kind with their Epona, and they also keep the Crimson Languar in the center position on that hilled forest in the center of the board. Most of the fire from the first turn is completely uneventful. A lot of opportunity shots are taken, but they mostly whiff, except for the Epona, which managed to do quite a bit of damage to the Koshi. But the Koshi had already disembarked its infantry the previous turn, and the elementals move into the forest and are chased in by the infantry off the Epona, which likewise disembarked in the last turn. As the Nightwolf continues moving up the center end of the board, the Koshi doubles back under the fusillade. It cannot take that kind of exchange, and just as it does, the Epona moves forward and something busts out of the woods. Do you know what it is? Find out in a few minutes. Looking for cheap terrain or bases? You should check out Gamecraft Mini. They've done right by me, and I heartily encourage them to anyone else. Hey, close those browsers. It's a Sprite! That's right, it's a Protomech, and it's a pretty nasty customer. This one's a Sprite 3, actually, and it uses a fusillade system. My buddy's using Ouchies on it. It makes it pretty nasty to encounter, especially at close range. But he's not going to have the opportunity. He busts out of the ambush behind the HPG grid and starts backing off of the woods. He was terrified that the Koshi was about to find him out. And to be honest, I wasn't really looking for him. The Koshi had got savaged the turn before, he was fleeing, and now the Crimson Languar jumps off of the hill and runs into the back arc of the Nightwolf. That thing's a lot faster than what you might initially give it credit, or at least it took me by surprise, and he savages the Nightwolf for my moment of indiscretion, opening up the rear and leaving the left torso a little bit savage for it. I see an opportunity to tag the Epona because it's not going to be moving slow again anytime soon, and I go ahead and throw as many rounds as I can into it, and the Nightwolf opens up, hits him with his ATMs, and gets a motive crit. Manages to tag it once, gets boxcars, and immobilizes the Epona on the first hit. It's pretty much untouched otherwise. Crimson Languar takes quite a bit of damage on the chin. Again, the Vulture manages to tag him a couple times, and the Koshi manages to put a few SRMs in him, but he, for the most part, will just shake it off. The Nightwolf, on the other hand, took it on the chin as well, as the Nightwolf is stumbling under the fusillade of fire from what is essentially 30 points of damage coming off the Crimson Languar in nice 10-point hits. The Vulture is raining LRMs from cover, and he's got all the infantry out there in the HPG grid just spotting for him. And it's a fantastic maneuver because I can't quite hit the Vulture, and the Vulture is doing excessive amounts of damage. He's tagging with at least one LRM-20, if not both, on every turn. And the elementals start fighting it out in the heavy woods down on the southern relative part of the map. They are in close quarters with each other, 1 hex away, and they're opening up their SRM bins at each other and generally making a mess of each other. He's got the laser LRMs and I have the AP Gauss. It's nice, but it's not enough to kill him. And I'm a little out of position. We've got units running around in my back quarters, and I need to get rid of that Crimson Langware. It's a lot faster than you imagine, but the opponent has been put down. We actually didn't quite catch that at first. The opponent took a motive crit, making it immobile, and under force withdrawal, the crew's going to eject and leave. They're going to do the better thing there. They're not going to fight off clan assault mechs just around the side. But he did his damage. The opponent in his last defiant shot tagged the Koshi a couple times and put it into forced withdrawal as well. Nightwolfs it up as he jumps through the air and disembarks the infantry. I figure it's better to get that +1 mod rather than run asthmatically and then spend 2 movement points to disembark. And Hell's Horses seizes the initiative. Seeing that the Nightwolf has gotten in close, they pull all in. They move the Crimson Langware into close range. They move the Vulture up, and I move the Vulture in kind in what is the most clan-like battle that I've seen in a while. Everyone's going to get muzzle to muzzle at such close ranges that they couldn't possibly miss if they were trying. Now, it's important to note, we've all got clan pilots here. They're all 3/4s. Literally, we're talking 4+ to hit at this range. Infantry keep fighting it up on the hill on the southern end, while the conventional infantry hunker down as much as they can. My buddy starts thinking about ways he can get his jump infantry out there into the open to be able to help present a more viable target or viable tactical option, but we quickly point out that the AP Gosses would rip them up the moment that they got out. So as the conventional infantry hunker down in the complex, the AP Goss elementals on the hill take their opportunity shot. They open up their SRMs at the Vulture in his back, manages to tag it through the center torso crit with one of the SRMs and damages the gyro in the engine, immediately giving it something to consider. Hell's Horses focuses fire on the Nightwolf though, puts quite a bit of damage on it, knocks it over, and in the fall does just enough damage to remove its leg, making the mech a forced withdrawal by itself. And since it can't move and there's that towering proto-mech monstrosity right next to it, the pilot will eject. They will not stick around for that, just as much as the Hell's Horses Vulture, with its gyro and engine hit, is also in forced withdrawal. It's better to check that check engine light than to stick around while the high explosives are flying. This is a pretty savage blow for the Jade Falcon. They've lost their assault mech, but all the infantry is disembarked, all the infantry are moving forward and assaulting their positions, and now this is a foot slogger's game. The PBI are going to make or break this assault. The Vulture for Clan Jade Falcon backs off the objective. We need to get a little bit of room so that the Vulture can do what Vultures do best, and Hell's Horses pushes forward. The Proto-Mech moves out into the field while the Crimson Langware tries to continue to get back shots. It's an incredibly fast mech, and the infantry moves back. The elementals move back out into the open, trying their best to do everything they can to support them, but it's not enough. The Vulture keeps getting tagged over and over again, and that Sprite with its fusillade with HE ammo is nasty. And because we're using forced withdrawal rules, he manages to not fire one of the bins. Otherwise, technically, since he would be out of ammo, he would be in forced withdrawal. Now, we both understand that, so it makes it a questionable choice. What should the Vulture shoot back at? Should he shoot at the Proto-Mech and kill something that has no ranged capability after that, or shoot at the Crimson Langware? Well, in my case, I shoot at the Crimson Langware. It manages to tag it quite a few times in the torso, but I can't put it down. Falcon elementals bide their time. They use their AP Goss at range, but they don't fire the SRMs. They're waiting for a better target. So as the Hell's Horses Vulture backs off the objective, this leaves it a game between the Jade Falcon Vulture and the Crimson Langware. And the gaggle of infantry out in the field. The infantry see what's at stake. The Jade Falcon elementals move back into the forest. We're going to move forward. We're going to try to protect our assets as much as we can, and we send the Vulture back in. He's going to try to protect his rear as much as he can, or at least since he presented the left side the turn prior, he's going to try to move into the woods and then turn, so that it'd be a longer run for the Crimson Langware at least, but he still gets there anyway. And as the vulture makes a dash into the woods, trying to protect itself, trying to get some sort of assistance from its infantry, the infantry start going hand to hand with the Hell's Horses as the Clan Jade Falcon Elementals are now fighting in the same hex in the feet of the vulture that is desperately trying to fight for its life, trying to get just a little bit of breathing room so they can take advantage of its superior firepower. But they're not having it. The protomech is firmly latched onto its leg, doing everything that it can to help damage it, while the infantry crawl over the damaged Nightwolf and into the same hex as the vulture, and they begin unloading their SRMs at each other and generally making a mess of each other. This is an infantry to infantry fight, and it's turning really sour as the vulture is fighting for life, losing precious points of armor every turn. Falcon Vulture takes a gyro hit and manages to stumble under the onslaught, while it turns around and manages to plaster with one of its arms into the Crimson Languor, quite a bit of damage to the torso, such that he has to really start considering it. If I can hit it one more time, the Vulture just gets a good beat on it, he could put the Crimson Languor down, but not before he can shake off that infantry. As he does, the Vulture limps away with its gyro damage, brushing aside the damaged Nightwolf as it limps away as the infantry are fighting in close quarters with each other, shooting at each other at the base of the Vulture as the Vulture continues to fight for its life. Crimson Languor moves back into the woods. He's realized that he's got a bit of an issue with his torso damage and moves in such a way that getting a shot at him is pretty unlikely. So the vulture starts focusing its fire on all the little dandies that are at his feet, while the other infantry stack up in a huge stack of infantry in there. I've never seen infantry cluster quite like this, as they're all shooting at each other at such point-blank ranges. And as the elementals are too busy trying to protect the vulture, their desperately needed fire support mech, the conventional infantry have seen their opportunity, and the Hell's Horses infantry start moving forward. The Falcon Vulture begins splitting its fire, taking some of the fire into the elementals at its feet, putting the rest of it into the protomech that's behind it that doesn't have much ammo or armor to speak of. Or at least it doesn't have much armor to speak of anymore, as the elementals are also plastering it full of shells, just whittling it away. And it has quite a bit of armor. That sprite is quite the little tank. Hell's Horses infantry start to make an opportunity for themselves as they distract one of the many stands of elementals that are at the base of the vulture as they are shooting each other out. The ensign goes in, throws the charge, and he manages to get stepped on by the vulture. The charge detonates, taking the foot actuator out and causing the pilot to fall, as there is a brewing close combat going on right outside the cockpit. Now this is pretty bad. The vulture's pretty darn crippled, and he manages to take a couple extra shots, or at least the infantry manages to cripple the sprite as well in the turn prior, leaving two fumbling units clawing at each other. The sprite can still damage it, and it's amazing if you take a look at the force withdrawal rules for it, because they just don't eject, and that kind of makes sense. So the infantry just make the best of it. They move onto the hill. We're going to take on the we're going to move into the urban area, and we're going to ignore the fact that we just lost our fire support unit, and we need to get away from that Crimson Languor. And as they do, the Hell's Horses take the initiative, pressing the infantry in and continuing to keep the fight at close quarters. And since their infantry slightly outnumber me now, and they've certainly been better trained, they keep the fight up as they jump infantry into close quarters, completely forsaking their own safety in doing so, and they deal quite a bit of damage to the Jade Falcon infantry, to the point where I lose one stand and the other one's at half strength, and we go ahead and call it. I've been losing elementals for a while now, and so has he, but I just didn't have the strength for it anymore. Not to take on these quote-unquote Hell's Horses. So that's been an Ouchies Batrep. Thanks for watching. It might not have really looked like it, but that Sprite 3 was nasty. And hey, if you're ever in the Memphis area, just drop me a line and we can set up a game. Just give me a little bit of a heads up, and I'd love to get you in on a Batrep. And if there's another game system you'd like to see, I'm all ears. But of course, this is how things roll. I suggest one thing, I even plan to do something else, and I end up playing Battletech anyway. Not that I'm complaining. Battletech's fun. Sooner or later we'll do Alpha Strike though. Just you wait.